5 seconds to go. Start. The appellant is an autonomous statutory corporation incorporated under the ESI Act. It is within the administrative control of the Ministry of Labour and Employment of the Government of India. Section 97 of the ESI Act confers power on the appellant to frame its own regulations. The terms and conditions of service of assistant professors are governed by the ESIC Recruitment Regulations 2015. These regulations stipulate that a minimum of 5 years of qualifying service as assistant professor is mandatory for promotion as associate professor. The ESIC regulations 2015 cannot be overridden by the DACP scheme. The office memorandum dated 29th October 2008 implementing the DACP scheme is applicable to employees of the ministries and departments of the central government, but not a statutory body like the ESIC. The text of the DACP scheme makes it clear that the office memorandum applies to employees of the Ministry of Health subject to an appropriate amendment in the recruitment rules. Thus, the DACP scheme does not override or supersede statutory regulations made under the ESI Act. Section 17(2) permits the ESIC to depart from the conditions of service applicable to employees of the central government subject to prior approval of the central government. Section 97(3) empowers the ESIC to frame regulations that are deemed to have the same effect as statutory provisions. The contesting respondents joined the ESIC Medical College and PGI MSR Bengaluru as assistant professors on different dates between 7th February 2014 and 26th June 2016. These respondents were governed by the Employees State Insurance Corporation Medical Teaching Faculty Posts Recruitment Regulations 2008. The High Court incorrectly held that the conditions for promotion from assistant professor to associate professor were governed by the DACP scheme on the ground that the ESIC Recruitment Regulations 2015 were inapplicable to the contesting respondents. The ESIC Recruitment Regulations 2008 were gazetted on 2nd May 2009 and stipulated 4 years of qualifying service for promotion from assistant professor to associate professor. Therefore, none of the contesting respondents would have completed 4 years of service before the ESIC Recruitment Regulations 2015 came into effect, that is, on 3rd July 2015. Under the ESIC Recruitment Regulations 2008, the contesting respondents became eligible for promotion after the ESIC Recruitment Regulations 2015 came into effect. Thus, the operation of ESIC Regulations 2015 in regard to their service conditions cannot be ignored and there can be no estoppel against legislative action. This court in state of Kerala has held that there is no estoppel against legislative action concerning service conditions. It is settled law that in the event of an inconsistency or conflict between a statutory provision and an executive instruction, the former must be given effect. This court in Union of India versus Ashok Kumar Agarwal has held that government issued memorandums or executive instructions can be used only to supplement the statutory rules but not to supplant them. The Appellant's counsel mistakenly made a concession before the court when they stated that the ESIC recruitment regulations 2015 would not govern the matter. However, this incorrect concession does not amount to estoppel against statutory regulation. This has been held by this court in State of Uttar Pradesh versus UP Rajya Samiti. The High Court has incorrectly recorded that the ESIC recruitment regulations 2015 were issued without approval from the central government. The preamble to the ESIC recruitment regulations 2015 explicitly states that the regulations were made after approval of the central government. The submission of the contesting respondents that the advertisement issued by the appellant contemplated the application of the DACP scheme is irrelevant to the adjudication of the matter. It is settled law that if an advertisement is inconsistent with recruitment rules, the rules would prevail as held by this court. The applicability of the DACP to non-teaching staff of the ESIC is irrelevant since the ESIC recruitment regulations 2015 specifically govern medical teaching faculty posts and except in 3 cases the contesting respondents have been granted promotions upon completion of 5 years of regular service in accordance with the ESIC recruitment regulations 2015. Senior counsel appearing on behalf of the contesting respondents, respondent 3 to 25, has urged the following submissions. Stop.